Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is a Dreams tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at moving platforms. There are various methods that you can do this in Dreams. I'm going to show you all the different methods. The simplest, but probably the most problematic, strangely, is that you can use Media Molecule's pre-built platform. So I'm making vertically rising platforms at the moment for this demonstration. The methods I'm going to show you will apply to any direction. So once I've shown you how to do it for vertical, you just apply the same techniques but in a horizontal fashion. Media Molecule have created some contraptions in a collection. You can search for it in the Dreamiverse, and they have vertical and horizontal moving platforms, and that's one here. This is the vertical moving platform, but as you can see, it is very highly designed. And if we have a look at its microchip, it's really complicated. Look at that. Absolutely tons and tons and tons of logic chips for this moving platform because it's got all this extra stuff. And if you look, there's some even more animation logic attached. This is so over engineered, it's untrue. Okay, so that is the Media Molecule vertical platform, and if you don't want it to look like that, which I'm guessing probably you don't if you're making your own platformer, it's probably best to go from scratch. And as you can you'll see from the examples I'm going to give you, you do not need to create all of this logic just to have a vertical rising and falling platform. So let's delete it. Oh my goodness, it's not even easy to delete. That's unbelievable. There we go. Oh, there we go. Right. So here we have our 4 rising and falling platforms, all slightly different speeds, but they all rise and fall pretty much the same. Let's rewind it. Right. Our first method is using a timeline and keyframes. So what I've done first of all is I've turned precise move on. This will help me get a nice vertical line with my block, so I know it will look nice and even and in the right position. So let me just delete my timeline and create a new one. Right, so we're going to create a timeline. Open that up. And we're going to put in a keyframe at the beginning, and we're just going to select that block. That's its starting position. Stop recording, and I'm going to put another keyframe in, and this is where it's going to be at the top position. I'm going to grab, pull it up, and this is its top position. Press record, and then I'm going to copy my first position and put it there, and then holding down L1 and pressing square, I'm then going to choose a linear blend type. This is just so that it will animate smoothly between. It's not going to start at the bottom then suddenly go to the top. It's going to slowly move and again slowly move. Then we're going to cut down our timeline. Now you want to get this timeline so that it is pretty much on that last keyframe. So let's turn it on, see if it works. Up, down. Okay, only does it the once. Now we'll put it on loop. I think we've got some remnants of the Media Molecule thing, which is a pain. Anyway, there we go. Up and down it goes, and then round in a loop. And there's your moving platform. And that's it. So that will move up and down forever in the same positions with no problems at all. So there's your first method. This, I would say, is the easiest method, the best method, and the one that I would favour if I was making a platformer. Right, our second method is using an action recorder. So I've got an action recorder, and that is going to be moving this block up and down. Now, because I'm wired up to my PC and using remote play in order to record this video, I find that fine control of objects with this all wired up is lacking, and I might not be able to get a nice smooth version, but I will have a go. So I'm going to delete the action recorder, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the action recorder down, and as soon as you grab your object, the recording will start. So we'll grab and we'll move it up and we'll move it down. Oh, that's fine. So press record and we'll have a look at our action recorder. This is automatically on loop, so we're good. And now it's going up and down. Now, because I've done it manually by hand, you can see there's a slight waviness, a slight jigginess to it. Now, the advantages of using the action recorder as opposed to keyframes would be variety. So if I just delete that action recorder, put another one in, although you can do this with keyframes and put lots of keyframes in, it is much quicker just to do this. So we've got some erratic movement of our block to go up and down. Like so. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll turn precise move off and we'll try that again. So I've got full sweeping range. So there we go. So you want to create some interesting, more interesting movement than just up and down. Then the action recorder is probably the easiest and quickest way, because if I was to do that with a keyframe, there would be lots of keyframes in order to get it to do this movement. So it will depend on what you're planning on doing with your platform. If it's just straight up and down, this is the one to move. This is definitely the method to use. If you wanted something a little bit more interesting with it all moving about, then here is the one that you would use instead. Right, our third method is the LittleBigPlanet method. This is a piston. I've got our block here. And I've got another block at the top here. I'm going to make this block not movable and not visible. And I'm going to attach a piston from the block to my platform. Our platform is movable. And our piston, we can set the minimum length and the maximum length, so you get it so it's going to the height you want it to. So for example, if I change, you can see, there we go. So that platform's only going to get to there and then go back down. So we want it to go, ooh, that's too high. So minimum, maximum, you just got to set them at the right. I think 1.8. Is it 1.8? I want 1.7. Yeah, that'll do. So there we go. So that's our platform going up and down, and you can change the speed. Cycles per minute. We can change the speed of this, so we can make it slower or much faster, like so, with this slider. 60 is the default, which is really fast, so there we go. So that's the piston, but you have the disadvantage in that you're having to put in this extra block. Of course, when you see it in play mode, that block is invisible and you can't see it. So it's all good. But in terms of thermo, of course, you're adding an extra block. So it's what people that are used to making things in LittleBigPlanet are likely to first do when they're making platform, because they're used to doing this. But like I say, these are the two better methods in Dreams. Now this method here, this last method, I do not recommend at all. In fact, do not use this method whatsoever. I've stuck a mover in there and aimed the, select it, there we go, I've got the arrow going up. It's going to go up for 2 seconds, and then we've got this one, I've got the arrow going down, it's going to go down for 2 seconds. Now you would think this would be fine and it would work, and let's get it going, and up it goes and then down it comes, and so far so good. This is looking fine, but let's play it for a little longer and see what happens. I don't know if you can see, but that block is starting to drift. It's starting to drift to the right. So at the moment, it's just slightly overhanging there. Let's keep going. I think you can see it is coming further and further this way the more times we do it. And this is because I haven't got the X and the Y exactly pixel perfect up and down on the vertical, and because of that it is moving around in a weird way, and there's no way of changing that gizmo for the upright and the for this with numbers. Some other gizmo arrows you can actually put in a finite number. You cannot do that with the mover, so you're doing it by eye, and quite often, well, to be honest, by eye is just not good enough. Also, if these were slightly different lengths, even a pixel wrong, the timing will go wrong, and you'll find that it's either getting higher and higher and higher, or lower and lower and lower every time you play. So as you can see now, look, that's really, really way out now. It's not just a little bit over, it's halfway over. So I do not recommend you use the mover gadget to move a platform. It is very difficult to get it to sync up nicely, and these are definitely better methods than that. So don't use the mover to move the platform. Use these other methods, and probably don't use Media Molecule's ready-made platformer either, because it's a little overcomplicated. It's got an awful lot in it, and you'll be spending a lot of time deleting all of that extra that you don't actually need, when you can just be making it from scratch and making it look beautiful and lovely for your level. So there you go. There are the 4 methods of moving platforms, and like I said, the method for this is to make a vertical one, but it's just as easy to change it to a horizontal platformer, so it's moving side by side. Just have your keyframes over here and over here, and for this one just move your action recorder over here to over here, and for the piston you'd have your block here, and you'd have your piston moving along from here to here. So it's the same, exactly the same method, you just decide which direction. There you go. Thank you for watching, hope that was useful, and I'll catch you in your dreams.